Hello friends, and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. Now, last episode, we started working on advancing our ore production. So with the arc reactor you see behind me and the crusher underneath me, we got to the point where we're getting, I think it's over 200 individual ingots per raw ore. That is a lot. So we set that up for our lead production. Now, in between episodes, I spent a lot of time setting that same system up for the rest of our ores. So pretty much every ore in this pack is now getting that ore multiplier. So we are getting a massive amount of ore production now. I pretty much almost ran out of resources setting this all up, but eventually got it done after many hours. With that complete, today we get to dive into working on nuclear fuel production for our new nuclear reactor, which is the next thing that we need to do in this pack. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. So, we are quickly getting to the end of this pack. You can see here we're starting into the nuclear age, and that's the last major stage before we get to this new processing chain, and that gets us to quantum research. At that point, we will then be working off these last few little bits to get home, which is the point of this whole pack. So, first things first, let's just grab up a piece of uranium so that we can complete this task, radioactive ingots. And with our uranium, which we've been processing, and you see I've got a whole lot as a result of our ore multiplying, we can now start setting up our isotope separator. Okay, so first things first, let's make ourselves a machine chassis. That's easy enough. And I think we're gonna just do 2 of everything today to start. I'm not sure how fast these machines are gonna go, but NuclearCraft machines don't move the quickest necessarily that I remember. Okay, and there are our electric motors. Let's do 2 sets of those. Okay, so there's 1 and 2. Perfect. So now we're ready to set up our isotope separators. Okay, so where are we going to set up our new nuclear processing facility? I've created a new little space here at the back of our mega factory. This all is processing for our ores on top, and beneath there is our old ore processing, and also in this section underneath is where we're making our elemental fluids from 2 episodes ago. This is our research facility, which is kind of just outside right now. I need to put a ceiling on this, but it's fine. It works fine. And then all of our research ingredients are produced in these buildings here underneath this area. So this seems like a good place to start with nuclear production. Now, I've already wired it up and run our power cables in here. I bothered to put a roof on it. Y'all should be proud of me. And put our logic cables in here as well. So we have plenty of room to start building out. So I think I'm going to start by putting down my isotope separators over here. Let's just put 1 down for now. And let's take a look at our recipe here. We can use thorium, but I think we're going to start with our uranium because we have a lot of uranium. We have a lot of thorium too, but I think that this is where we are going. If I look at this quest line, I think the first things that we need are, well, it looks like it'll take uranium or thorium. So we'll just stick with uranium for now. And to make our fuel, it looks like all of those options are also on the table. So we'll just start with that. Okay, so we're going to make ourselves a card for uranium ingots, and we put an item exporter on top already here, and we're just going to tell it we need to export those uranium ingots. So it looks like that is already working. And slowly but surely, this should now separate the uranium, but it looks like it's going pretty slow. But we're using 1,000 RF per tick. That is a lot of RF. So this is just gonna take a long while to get where we're going. So maybe I'll make some upgrades real quick and see if we can't get this to go a little faster, but I'm just worried that we are not going to be able to upgrade this much more because the speed of this is just going to chew through power and we don't have enough. Okay, I made a couple of these real quick. Let's just try like 4 for now and see where we're at. 5,000 RF per tick already. Oof, yeah, that is going to be somewhat problematic. But it says 800 ticks to process that. So I guess this is just going real slow. I'm not sure. Whoop, I didn't mean to do that. I'll have to go put these back in the other box. But I thought it would go a little faster than this. Maybe let's upgrade more. Okay, let's go full tilt. Yeah, that's going to drain through all of our power reserves pretty much immediately. But I'm not seeing any progress here, so I'm going to cut this back considerably. What are we at? 9,000 RF per tick. Yeah, that's way more than I want. But let's just see if this does anything. Okay, that was really weird. I sat here waiting for this to do anything, and it didn't do anything for the longest time. I feel like there's something wrong with something in this pack, because the isotope separator is just sitting here, and then all of a sudden it like went all the way down almost instantaneously. Like over the course of just like a second, 2 seconds, it processed a single ingot. So something real weird is happening here. It also used all the power at that time. I don't understand what's going on with this. Maybe it's waiting for the amount of energy to be stored that it needs to do all of the processing and not starting until then. If that's the case, that would also explain some of the bottlenecks that I'm seeing with my other machine that I'm using to separate the hydrogen, the electrolytic separator or whatever it is. That would explain it, because yeah, this is just waiting on power at this point, and there's not enough power to go around. Okay, well, it looks like I had a weird bottleneck situation in my power generation. My boilers were running out of coal. I went through and cleaned that all up, and now that this has a reliable source of power coming in, it seems to be working. Even though before it still had power, it seems to want to be completely full on power before it begins a new cycle. So 3 seems to be the sweet spot for upgrades that we can put in here before it starts just giving out on me a little bit. So that's working pretty well so far. Now the next thing we need to do is figure out what to do with these bits of uranium. So I think we need to combine these in some way. I think it's one of these to make fuel. And I think, yeah, it comes down to these tiny clumps of the uranium-235. So we use those, and we should be able to craft them into a full-size uranium-235. And then that with our uranium-238 can make LEU-235 fuel. So let me just take a couple of pieces of each of these and take a look at the quest line real quick here. Yeah, so we have uranium-235 now, or actually we don't yet, right? Because we just have a tiny clump. So maybe what we'll do is put down some sort of a storage drawer here again as a temporary storage for it. And then I guess I'll try seeing if I can make the bigger uranium in my auto crafter. That might work with my super factory manager. So let me try that real fast here and set this up. And before I put this down, I got another great tip from Blackest Dawn, who said, put the key, the drawer key, in your offhand. And then when you put down your actual storage drawers, it's going to be locked by default, which is really, really useful. I think you all saw I was building that huge storage array an episode or so ago, and that got screwed up really quickly because of not locking the storage drawer as I was putting it down. So again, thanks to Blackest Dawn. Thanks to all of you for all these great tips that you've been giving me. Quite frankly, you've just been making this way easier for me so I can go through and upgrade things as I go. It's making this really, really nice to play when I have the help of the whole community to work on this stuff. So thanks again, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and see here about, I wonder if I can just put this in a compacting storage drawer, if that will give me uranium-235 back out. But for now, let's just do it the basic way here. We're going to put both of these into this machine, into this storage drawer, I should say. And let me take out just 9 of the tiny uranium-235. And let's make one bigger piece of uranium-235 with it. And it looks like I already screwed that up a little bit. There we go. And let's put that in here like so. Now let's go ahead and make ourselves one of our super factory managers. So yeah, I'm really loving using the Super Factory Manager as my main block here. Again, that was a tip from Garvey actually, who told me that, hey, don't sleep on this. This is really a useful series of tools in this pack. So I've been using this for pretty much all of my auto crafting. Again, I think we saw that a lot in the last couple of episodes of how I've been chaining all this stuff together. So for this one, we're just going to do a real simple little chain here and use our built-in auto crafter to make those blocks of uranium, or excuse me, the larger pieces of uranium-235. So go ahead and set this up real fast here. Again, real simple. We're just using the default trigger that ticks every second. And we are going to go ahead and rename these because I usually end up making a lot of them. So we're going to say this is big U235. The input, of course, inventory is going to be our basic drawer here. Doesn't matter where we actually target it again. It doesn't really matter. And then for this, we're just going to tell it that we want uranium-235 in both big and little. And there we go. So this is the uranium-235. It is not the oxide. We might need the oxide for something later, but we're not going to worry about that yet. So that's the input. Our condition here, of course, we're going to tell it that the basic drawer, we want to make sure that it has a set of the uranium-235. We want the clumps, and we want to have at least 64 of those. Okay. So that's going to be input from there. Oh, and we forgot to tell the target side. Again, doesn't really matter in our purposes, but we'll do it anyway. And then the crafter here is what's actually going to do the crafting for us. So uranium-235 again. Tiny clump. And we're just going to put these all around here, just like we did manually a second ago. I wish there was a faster way to import recipes for the output, but I haven't found it. Like, choose the output and then make that be the thing that selects the inputs, but I don't think it does that. So it is what it is. Okay, so we're going to output that there, and let's just go ahead and close that. And on false, when we don't have 64 of our uranium-235, then we craft it. And then last but not least, we just need to tell it where to put it. And that's going to be, once again, back into the storage drawer that we were just talking about. And we're only going to let it whitelist our uranium-235 big clumps here. So that one. Great. And that's our output. And now if I turn this on, it should immediately start making those big clumps. And yeah, it looks like it's used up all of the little clumps already. So if I take these into my hand here and go to my storage remote, I believe the recipe for the fuel is like this. 1 piece of uranium-235, 8 pieces of uranium-238. There. And that completes this quest for nuclear fuel. So I'm going to put that in here. Great. And now I'm going to do the same thing we did before and tell it to make the fuel in this section. And it's LEU-235 fuel. So when we're naming it, let's just give it that name. LEU-235 fuel. Okay, great. And we're going to set this up exactly like the other one. So just like that, we tell it we want to craft our LEU-235 fuel and put it back in the drawer, and that goes into our output. Our output, of course, is going to be the basic drawer inventory, targeted up, and we're just going to tell it that the LEU-235 is the fuel that it's allowed to put in there, and that's whitelisted. Okay, now we turn that on. Okay, and there we go. There's our LEU-235 fuel. And I actually changed this. I'm just doing all of it. I'm not doing a condition to limit the amount of fuel that we're making. So that's just going to make us a whole bunch of fuel. Okay, so with our fuel in hand, we need to get to depleted fuel. We've finished this entire top quest line. That was real easy. But depleted fuel we only get by making a reactor. So I think we're going to go ahead and start setting up a nuclear reactor so that we can process this fuel and make it into depleted uranium. So we need to figure this out. We need a fission reactor casing. So that means we need to hoard some plastic ingot. We also need to make some tough alloy in our smelter. So that needs lithium, which we have been making, and ferroboron, which is made from steel with boron. And you know what? I don't have an electrode alloyer yet. Maybe that's a thing that we should go ahead and set up. Okay, let's go ahead and unlock our alloyer. And now we have the recipe for that. What do we need for this? So since we can't just fill the capsule, what we can do is use the electrode alloyer capsule here. So that looks easy enough. Redstone engineering blocks we can make. We have a bunch of them actually on hand. Steel fences we have, multi-block capsule. The alloyer core just needs light engineering blocks. So I think we can do all of that pretty easily here. Can we make ourselves light engineering blocks here? Light engineering, yeah, we can. So let's make ourselves, well, we're gonna have to make ourselves 10. Let's craft those up, perfect. There's the 10 light engineering blocks. We'll put one back. And that will give us our core, like so. Okay, drop that off. And now what else do we need? Do we have everything else? No, I guess not. Let's make our capsule out of our machine casings, like so. There we go. And then we just need our steel fences. Perfect. All right, now we have our alloyer. Now, where to put this thing? I think we're gonna put this with the other weird one-off machines for now, which is down in this little mini industrial park I've been awkwardly setting up here. I kind of hate it, but it works. It'll totally work. So let's see how big this is here. Oh, it's not big at all. This is a teeny tiny machine, so we can actually snuggle it right back in here. Let's do that. Great. Okay, here is our electrode alloyer. So I think we just put the two items into these inputs here on this side, and energy on the top, easy enough. Let's run our power cables over. All right, full up on power. And now it's just waiting on items here. So I'm gonna go ahead and wire the output up to this same output everything else is going into. So let's go ahead and grab back up our item cables wherever I stuck those. Oh, they're already in my inventory. And we're gonna extract from you. And now we need to make our ferroboron. Okay, so in goes a stack of steel, in goes a stack of boron, and in theory, out comes, at some point, oh, not enough energy. Let's go ahead and fix that. There we go. Plenty of energy now. Woo! Did that just do all of them? That just did all of them. Like, just like that. That is ridiculous. So yeah, the bottleneck here is actually the item pipes. That is amazing. Now with that in hand, that was real fast and easy. We can use this in the alloyer, I think, with lithium. So to make our tough alloy. Okay, so we put in our ferroboron on this side and we put in a stack of lithium on the other side, and assuming it's got the power to go, yeah, it's just gonna burn through those immediately. Let's go do another set of stacks here. And again, yeah, that bottleneck is really our item pipes more than anything else. So that's gonna slowly pull these out. But yeah, you can see they're just kind of hanging out in there. I'll go ahead and grab them out by hand. Okay, so with all that, we have 4 stacks of tough alloy. That is a lot. That's a lot. Now, of course, let's not lose sight of what it is we are actually trying to make. Let's add this to our shopping list here. And it looks like we have to unlock that before we can make it. So, is that under power? Yeah, it's under power. Okay, so we need a whole bunch of research. Let me unlock this real fast. And there we go. Now we have nuclear fission unlocked. Okay. All right, so with our plastic ingots in hand, along with our basic plating that we already made, our tough alloy, we can now make a whole lot of our fission reactor casings. Actually, let's go ahead and drop this in here like that. Just get it out of our inventory. And I say, maybe let's just make a stack. We'll make a whole stack. Okay, great. I'm sure we're going to use this. I'm sure these reactors are not super tiny. Okay, so that's that done. Now we need a reactor cell. So let's go ahead and make one of these. Oops, wrong window. One of these. Okay, and maybe we make just a couple of them. Again, I don't really know how many we're going to need here. So let's make 8. 8 seems like a perfectly reasonable place to start. We've completed that. And now we can make moderator blocks. Graphite or beryllium. So let's add those. How do we make this? Beryllium is not something we have seen yet. Apparently, if we have a rock crusher and we put stone in it, we'll get beryllium dust. Alugentum, crushed arsenic? Okay, it looks like we have an entire other level of stuff here that we have not dealt with yet. And all of it requires, is this andesite or is this any, I think it's only andesite. How do we get andesite? From cobblestone and diorite. And diorite we get from cobblestone and nether quartz. Okay, well, that's not going to be what we're going to do right now. So instead, what about graphite? These graphite ingots, I feel like, is just the graphite dust that we saw before, right? So we have pulverized coal, but I guess we need to make a manufactory. Okay, so let's add that to the list. Okay, so to make our manufactory, we first need a machine chassis. That's easy enough for us to create. And then we just wrap that with advanced plating, copper solenoids, and lead ingots. And there we have it. We have our manufactory made. Real simple. And then this we can use for a variety of purposes, but notably turning our coal into pulverized coal and then our pulverized coal into graphite. So back at our temporary base, let's go to our pulverizer and drop in a stack of coal. And then we'll come over here and put our manufactory down over, whoops, I'm stuck on the conveyor belt, over here next to our other items. And we are not going to hook this up to the item output yet because I think my inventory keeps getting way too full over here. So we are just going to grab the output when we are done with it from that. Now, the pulverizer also is not set up here yet, so let's go ahead and just grab the 9 that we've got and put these into the manufactory. Actually, it turns out that was not enough power for our setup, so I just brought it over here with our other NuclearCraft machines that we have in our little mini section of the base here out of the front. So that seems to be going much quicker now. And we've almost got enough here that we can start making some ingots out of it. So then we just take the graphite dust that results and cook that in our redstone furnace real quick. And hopefully very shortly we will have enough ingots to do our first block and complete that quest. So we grab our graphite ingots and let's make a couple of blocks of our graphite blocks. Perfect. That completes that quest. Now, an empty cooler. So to stop the heat, I can place coolers inside the reactor. And I don't know anything about that, so we need to do some more research apparently. So where are our coolers? Coolers, here they are. Okay, let's get started. Simple coolers only need to be placed next to a single reactor component to work. Super simple, don't cool down things much. So what can we make this out of? Do we really have to research every single one of these? And that's at the 32x? Oh, this is going to be a big problem because we are not making green research nearly fast enough. Okay, let's go see how much green research we have left. Okay, let's get ourselves our water cooler here. There we go. So now we at least know how to make one cooling block. And I might have enough chemical research to unlock some of these other layers, but this is just going to get real expensive real fast. I wonder if I should just try and unlock one in each tier rather than going all the way down. But I don't know how expensive it'll be to actually build these. let's try to unlock this and see how expensive the glowstone cooler is. Coolers. Let's see. We have a water cooler and we have a glowstone cooler. Oh, so these are just... Well, the water cooler is just a cooler block that then has water in it. And the glowstone block looks real cheap too, just glowstone dust. We have plenty of glowstone, I think. And it looks really simple to make. I think we still have some tough alloy hanging around here. Yeah, so maybe we just make a couple of these empty cooler blocks. I don't know how many I'll need. Let's do 8 for now. That's probably plenty. And then let's make, let's use half of them right now for cooler blocks and see where we end up with that. Okay. So did that complete the quest for our need to have coolers? Let's see here. It did. And now we need a fission reactor port. Fission reactor port. And that needs fission reactor casing. Okay, we've got a bunch of that. And then the port is just missing our hopper. Okay, and there's our port. That's that. And then controller. Okay, this looks a little bit more complicated. Solenoids, magnesium diboride. What? Oh, so we just need boron and magnesium. So that's not going to be super hard to make. What's the nuclear furnace need? Oh, you know what? We can probably make that right now. Okay, let's see if we can make a nuclear furnace without having to do anything else. Oh, we just need a couple more furnaces. Good. And with that, yeah, we can make 2 of those. Great. And here again, we're going to use our super mega ultra alloyer, which should do this in just absolute record time. Yeah, see, that's all already done. And we'll just take that out of there. It's kind of weird that all of these ingots are now just kind of weird black colored ingots. It's kind of hard to tell them apart at this point, especially now that my inventory is getting to be a mess once again. Okay, so let's make a couple of these, whatever you call them, the solenoids. And then we need to make another machine chassis. Yeah, there's our fission controller. Okay, so that is now done. And then I just need to make depleted fuel. So now we actually have to figure out how to put all of these things together. Okay, I think I might have figured this out. I think that the NuclearCraft fission reactor is relatively similar to the reactor for mechanism, but a little bit different. Now, I found a design by someone named that's JUSTHMM, over on Reddit from a little while back. And they were recommending a design here that could be a good starting design for us. So we're starting with a 3x5 reactor, and their design is only using the glowstone coolers, which coincidentally I had already made, not knowing about this at all, and graphite blocks, and then the cells, the fuel cells, I guess. So they say that this should be the base layer with a fuel cell, a reactor cell, sorry, in the middle. And then the next layer is graphite on the corners with our reactor cells here on the edges. And then the center is also graphite. So the third layer is then glowstone, basically repeating that same pattern on top here with graphite around the sides. And then we just invert the pattern that we just did. So like that. And then our reactor cells go here. And then the top layer is glowstone. And then graphite here. And then the reactor cell. So this is the basic design. And then we just put our reactor casing around it. Now, we are going to need some ports and things here, so let's go ahead and put all this into place to start. And as I mentioned before, I think this works relatively similar to the mechanism reactor where the corners and edges are left off here. Let's just go ahead and fill in all of these edges, or all the faces, I should say, with reactor casing. Except for here, I think, or excuse me, except for on the front, this side's going to be fine. But here, I think we need a couple of ports and the controller. And it looks like I need to make a couple more blocks too. So let's go ahead and put, I guess I just need 2 ports for now. And then let's just make ourselves, what, like 3 more of the casings. So let's see here. Here's the reactor casing. Well, looks like we can make 16 of those, not 3 more. That's fine. Like this. And that should be a functional reactor, I think. Yeah, so inputs, outputs, power, heat level, all this stuff should work. Now, I don't know anything about cooling this thing. And since I don't know how to cool it, I'm just going to put a lever on the front so that we can turn it on and off as needed. Okay, so now let's grab up our fuel. And it looks like we've got a decent amount in there. 64 and 23. Yeah, 87. That's a lot. Okay, let's just put 1. You gonna do anything if I turn you on there? There we go. It's doing something. It is making a bunch of power. Okay, so, and clicking loudly. Okay, great. So let's take that and leave that cooking for a second. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and hook one of these outputs to our power system. So this is going to go into our main power array. And it looks like it's outputting very efficiently there. Okay, so that's depleted, but it's still going. Okay, great. Let's turn this off. So I think that completes that quest. Where are we at? All the way back here. Okay. Nuclear age, depleted fuel. Yeah, okay. So running the fuel through the reactor is depleted fuel. Okay. And so that's waste material, which can then be broken down in a fuel reprocessor. Okay, so first let's make the linear actuator that we need for this. That's easy. And then I think we have everything else. There we go. Fuel reprocessor. That was super, super cheap. Okay, let's find a place to put this. Let's go back over here to our new nuclear area here, our nuclear machining room. And we'll just put this down, yeah, let's put it down here. Great. It's got some power now. I can drop a couple of upgrades in there as well once we figure out how much energy it's going to use. Ooh, 2,000 per tick. Okay, well, hopefully with our new fission reactor, we can keep up with that. And yeah, let's put a depleted fuel in there and see what happens. Yes, okay, look at that. So we've got uranium-238 that came back out. We've got plutonium-237, plutonium-239, and plutonium-241. Wow. Okay, that is a lot of it too. Okay. And that completed the reprocessing fuels quest. So now we are on to the processing chain. But we are going to have to wait till the next episode to get into the processing chain and using all of these wonderful new nuclear isotopes and elements to make all the stuff that we need to get down to californium. I think that's where we're heading here on that giant chain of research, is to get to the californium so we can make that last research type. So join us back here next time on Enterprise Architecture for more of that, and we'll see you back here then. Bye, friends.